Seeker. Today I am going to go through a few of the tools to use and a ritual to do for this Pluto-Mercury conjunction at 29 degrees of Capricorn. There are a lot of details that I am not going to cover, and I do want to do a little bit of the ritual with you, but just to start off with a little bit of an elevator speech about magic and ritual. What we're doing with magic and ritual is simply bringing forces that exist within the subconscious, such as the shadow, the soul, and our connection to divinity, into the consciousness. We are consciously working with the forces and energies of the universe. And astrology in particular is an indication of that energy. I was originally skeptical of astrology, and it was the very last thing that I learned about on my path, and I've learned that it is very, very deep and far more complicated than just the sun sign that you read about in the newspaper. I am whispering tonight because both of my daughters have just gone to bed, and this was the best time for me to do this video. I've attempted to do this video while one was awake and the other one was taking a nap. Never worked out. I want to take my time and I don't want to rush through things. I do have a tendency to speak very quickly, and I know I did that in previous videos 4 years ago, but I am on a bit of a timetable because my phone doesn't have a lot of recording time. And for now, this is what I'm restricted to. If this channel really takes off and I can monetize it, I will be reinvesting that money directly into equipment to make better videos for you and hopefully have a bit more time to do them. But today, let's focus on this rituals and the tools that I included. So, this is big energy, strong energy. We definitely want to utilize this time and this opportunity to do some shadow work, to do some cleansing, grief, dark nights of the souls. These type of things are huge opportunities for us to heal. And we want to do this consciously. We don't want to be a puppet to the universal energies that's just floating and buffeted by the waves of what is happening. We want to harness the energy and direct it to what we want it to do in our lives for the highest and greatest good of all involved. And I took that line specifically from Lunanate and Reiki with Anna. I highly suggest both of them. Now, one of the things that you can do on such a energy that is about endings is that you can do energy work, Reiki type work. You don't necessarily have to be a Reiki practitioner to work with the energetic body. I have gone to people who are not Reiki who do healings as well, and for me they were just as good, just a little bit different. So the tools, if you want to do energy work, I've seen people use this type of fossil before. It's a pointed fossil, and you can direct energy with it because it's pointed. I use my selenite, double terminated selenite wand a lot, the spiral one. This is my preferred tool for all ceremonies and rituals. The big toughie that I brought out is this Shungite Vogel, and you would direct it this way with the smaller end pointed out and draw energy out. And this one is for the root chakra and for drawing out and you draw out any negative energy, and it is very powerful. It's very healing. Just to hold it is a very powerful piece. And it is a good time if you feel the need to do cord cuttings, and that would usually involve an athame. This is a fancy agate athame that I prefer to work with, that is made to resemble a deer's antler. And since that's one of my totem animals, and I'm a Capricorn, it very much works for me. I won't be doing a cord cutting myself during this energy because I don't really feel it's necessary. But the person, when it comes to cord cutting, that I trust the most is Lunanate. So that would be who I'd go to for that if you want to do it by proxy. But you can absolutely do it yourself. As far as, so we work with minerals and different colors because it is color therapy. I also have rose quartz because when you're going through the grieving process, or if you're going through a dark night of the soul, you want to be gentle with yourself. You want to be loving. And this raw, natural, big piece of rose quartz, I mean, that just, to me, speaks of like how you're just broken open. Your heart's just broken open with grief. It's just that natural, raw energy of it. It's a beautiful piece to work with for grieving and dark nights of the soul, which I'm kind of a pro at because I've been through it so many times. I've lost count. And this is a black tourmaline. This is a wonderful stone. It's like a filter, just sucks up all negative energy. I have this and different pieces placed throughout my house strategically to help with the vibe. Another thing that I really recommend is carnelian. This is a beautiful carnelian freeform pillar. And that's because we tend to lose energy. It's hard to get out of bed when you're going through an existential crisis or grieving someone. I mean, when I lost my daughter, that was one of the biggest issues, was trying to get out of bed. My firstborn daughter was born prematurely and passed away after 3 days. And I remember just getting out of bed was an issue. It's hard to get motivated. And carnelian is like mineral caffeine. I think that's what Athena from Sage Goddess calls it. And it just gives you that mega energy to get up and out and do things. And a big piece like this, working with it and ritual and ceremony, will really help you tune into that energy. The orange color, orange in general is energy, but it ties into the solar plexus chakra. And that is your chakra that involves willpower and Mars. And Mars is just now starting to go forward so we can start to harness that willpower energy, although it's not quite at its full strength yet. So, another thing that I want to mention is if you don't have any tools, I have a lot, but if you don't, salt is something that's very purifying. Just using salt in a ceremony can help you direct the energy into purification, and that's really what we're doing with this. We want to purify, we want to release and let go. And salt is a great symbol for releasing and purifying and letting go. It is known to be an antioxidant around the house. I know a lot of people have Himalayan salt lamps, and just the general salt that you can buy, especially pink Himalayan salt. I love that energy because it does have that heart energy. You can use that. So really quickly now, because I'm running out of time, incense that you may want to use, grounding ones like tobacco vanilla, that's what I have here, or deep patchouli. And this is basic aromatherapy. You can use, I'll show you how I use this to represent water, but all these scents, incense, essential oils, is aromatherapy, and it's proven to work. It's science. So I usually start off with something pure, smudge, like sage and santo, and then follow it through with Latin lover. In indigenous traditions, you start off with a sage to cleanse, but then you fill it with something else, like sweet grass. I tend to use like a sweet smelling incense. Now, the other tools that I brought is our grid, which I'm going to make real quick. And I do go through and explain all these stones in my blog. I am running out of time on this video to go through them all, but each of these is chosen specifically for a reason. But just creating the grid, and then I do explain how to activate it elsewhere, but I'll probably make another video for this, and I'll probably go through this grid as a short later. And then finally, also for aromatherapy, you can work into your ritual something like this using some lotion. It is a meditative practice. It is a very meditative, active meditative practice to do a ritual. You can also work in divination cards to give you advice. There's different ones. I tend to pull one instead of a bunch. For Mercury, I brought in a tuning fork. This works with the third eye chakra, and it represents air. And I use that in all of my ceremonies and rituals that involve the air element. Each planet and zodiac sign involves an element, and there's a deep teaching to that I will share eventually. And for Earth, because that's Capricorn, I brought in a steel tongue drum. A shamanic drum to me does work better, but I do love using this in meditation as well. And so those are all of our parts. Of course, we have our candle for intentions that's brown that also works with the earth element. And so those are all the elements that I use in ritual. That's what I recommend for this very potent energy. Let's direct this in positive ways. Let's grow. Let's ground into this energy. Take advantage of it so that when we come back to this lesson, because it will come back. Life is a spiral. We might not come to this particular energy at 29 degrees of Capricorn because it is super duper rare. But when we encounter the lessons and the lessons that we are here to learn now, the ones that we are learning again, we'll be prepared if we ground into this and really take stock of what's happening now and close this out. Thank you so much for joining me.